out there, and she said that is primarily where people were coming from this afternoon.
Tamara, you're there now, aren't you?
Yeah, that's exactly where I am right now. And I just got to let you know, from the moment it was announced that 12 people had died because of this incident, my stomach dropped, and it honestly has not picked up since that news broke. But yes, as you said before, the building where all of this happened is just behind me, building 2. And like you said, we have been out here for going on 4 hours. I kind of want to walk you through a little bit what we've seen out here since everything broke. My photographer and I were actually covering another story at the courthouse, a couple buildings that way, when we were told to come to this scene of reports of an active shooter. And immediately we jumped in the car, we headed over here, and we just saw police car after police car after police car zooming past us. Sirens, lights on, and everything. And when we get here, it's a completely chaotic scene. The parking lot here now is empty, but before it was full, and there were policemen and SWAT teams in armor, armed with guns, heading into that area. And at that time, we didn't really know exactly what was going on. We weren't sure if there was an active shooter, if anything else, but we saw the faces of people leaving that building, and you could see on their face that they were scared and that they were horrified at what they had just seen. We spoke with a gentleman who came out of the building, and he told us his eyewitness account of what happened. He said that he heard what sounded like gunshots, and him and a couple other of his peers went to investigate, and that's when they found a woman on the stairwell covered in blood. He said he didn't know if it was coming, where it was coming from on her, and at that point they were confused. They wanted to know what was going on, so another person went to investigate, and that's when they heard someone was shooting and that they needed to get out now. I can tell you, when I was talking with him, he was shaken up. He was stumbling on his words, which is completely understandable in knowing what we know now. And through all of that, it almost seems like a blur at this point, but I'll tell you, once we finished talking with him and we were trying to get a grasp of the scene, there were police everywhere surrounding this building around us, this yard behind us, canine units, many SWAT officers and law enforcement and first responders were surrounding this. And even at one point, when we were starting to understand what might be happening, we saw one victim on the back of what looked like a Dodge Charger, not in the Charger, on top of the car. And another police officer was on the roof of the vehicle, pressing down on that injured person, taking care of them and taking them to the nearest ambulance. And that was only one of the victims that I saw personally coming from this building. Just moments after that, we saw 2 other victims on the back of a pickup truck. And I'll tell you, this pickup truck did not look like it was labeled or with law enforcement. It seemed as though someone just used their vehicle to help transport these victims to safety, to where they can get help. And thinking back at it, standing where I am right now, just 4 hours ago, a horrible, horrible tragedy happened just a few hundred feet behind us. It's hard to think that something like that could happen here. Something so tragic, so horrifying happened just a few hundred feet behind us. I can tell you now, the scene has calmed down a little bit. The caution tape is still up. There are still many police cars out here. Moments ago, we saw police laying out markers in the parking lot. We're not exactly sure what that is from, but they were markers out in the parking lot, and we've seen a couple of ambulances go by, assuming, cleaning up the inside. It's the air out here. It feels dry. It feels empty. Anyone that's walked by have had their head down. It's not a good feeling being out here, knowing what has happened here. But, the people that I did talk with who did want to say words to me off camera, they just said they have prayers for everyone. And that's the energy that we're feeding back to you guys. Prayers for anyone who was involved here and their families. We go out to you.